What's going on, man?
It's been a day, son.
It's been a
been a
day.
day.
It's been a lot of overcoming adversity, a lot of obstacles.
But look at this. Look at where we are.
Come on,
Can't complain.
come on. It's like glass back there. Look at that water. It's beautiful. Out here on the beautiful Chesapeake Bay, Ocean City, Maryland, enjoying our time. We loved doing the podcast so much, we had to run it back. Run another one. Thank you. Shout out to my MacBook Pro for totally crapping out the first episode. We're
Second
not
attempt. Oh,
We're not banged up at all. I mean, we're totally well rested. It hasn't been a long day. We're just ready to keep.
I just
cranking
want to
these pods out
apologize
all
for the
day,
people
so
because we just did the world's greatest podcast, and I'm not sure if we have two in us.
just absolutely smoked it. So, but tell you what, Pop, we better get going.
Let's get rolling.
We better
got
get
people
going.
keeping time out there.
Yeah, we got people checking up on us. God forbid we talk for 3 minutes and 40 seconds before we start talking football. God forbid.
Yep.
God forbid. That could be trouble.
But here we are on the beach, in-person pod.
Yes,
loving
sir.
it.
Rallying.
Rally.
This is the true definition of the rally right here. Pulling it all together. Let's get right
My son, the engineer.
into it. Let's get right into it. It's what can you do, man? What can you do?
Stuff happens sometimes.
Yeah, there's certain aspects
Machines
of this
go wrong
stuff you
sometimes.
just can't plan for, but it's
Our
okay.
bucket hat's still in. I'm wondering that.
Well, yours is backwards, so definitely not. Definitely not. A little rough and tumble on the pod today.
I got the NFL symbol.
Little rough and tumble on the pod today. So
It's all good.
So we're doing a little bit of training camp talk today, doing a little bit of buy or sell later in the episode. But let's get right into training camp. That's our first topic. And I think the first topic we want to talk about today is Ron Rivera. And is he going to keep his job? What does he need to do to keep his job? He was asked in a press conference a similar question, kind of where he stood with this whole new ownership situation, which obviously, we had a little short interlude about. We're very excited about. We'll talk a little bit more about later. But with this new ownership situation, this new transition, it's a lot to prove for Ron Rivera. And I think he very astutely pointed out it is an audition,
Yep.
basically. We got to
He
see.
admitted to it. Well, he was
So-
asked the question, right? Does he think this is an audition? And he was pretty, forthright in his answer and said, "Yes, I think it is. We're all auditioning." So, yeah, give him credit for that.
Definitely. And I think it's a good mindset to have. I mean, he's been through this before, which I think for most NFL coaches, they never go through this once, let alone twice. So it's pretty crazy. Obviously, Carolina, same situation. He was the prior ownership's guy he'd sold. But Pop, you got a really great take on how you feel about this and just the Ron situation in general. So I want you to tell me, go ahead, give me that take. And then also I want you to tell me what you think Ron needs to do to keep the job.
Yeah. So, we talked about it earlier in our rehearsal pod, but one thing that people aren't talking too much about is who brought Ron to the Redskins at that point. Now Commanders, right? It was Joe Jackson Gibbs, and who is a prominent figure in the Josh Harris ownership. He was right out there on day one in the celebration. He's put out press releases endorsing Josh Harris. It's Joe Gibbs. I think that Ron is on much more solid footing than people give them credit for because he's got Joe's endorsement. And I think he's been a culture building kind of guy. These guys want to bring in the new culture. Now, I still think it's going to take at least 9 wins, a winning season, and, progress from Sam Howell, because I think if Sam Howell isn't your starter going into 2024, there's no reason to keep the coaching staff around. Blow it up, restart at quarterback, trade up for a draft pick. So I do think it very much rides on Sam Howell. But I think that Joe Gibbs factor is a thing.
It's definitely a thing, and I think when you pointed that out to me earlier in our pre-production / rehearsal pod, it was a very astute observation and something that I hadn't really thought about. Honestly, you kind of caught me off guard with it, so now I'm here ready, marinated on my thoughts for about a whole podcast worth. So I'm ready to give you a little more logical take on it, and I like it. I really do like that take. I think I agree with you. I think Ron might be on a little more solid footing than one would think, especially if you look at a guy like Josh Harris. He's kind of got a reputation for putting the right people in place. Ron, obviously, very highly regarded across the NFL. I've been out on Ron at this point for probably about 18 months now. I don't think it's any secret. But I think what I want to see is not a number of wins and losses, but I want to see. We hear all this talk about culture. We hear all this talk about a black cloud looming over the franchise. The black cloud is gone. Ron is a culture guy. Where are the boys at the end of the year? Because I think with that rookie quarterback, there's so much volatility, right? But if we find ourselves in a position like the Detroit Lions would be my comp, where there's a lot of excitement around the team, you go, hold on a second. They're starting to figure it out. They're doing a lot of things right. It's a lot new. It's a lot of transitioning this year. But if towards the end of the year we go, hold on a second, this team's looking legit, I think you keep Braun around, and I think you play that continuity card. You let Sam get another year in the same thing. Otherwise, I do want to see Eric Bieniemy get a crack at it if he does his job. If he does what we expect Bieniemy to do, I don't think you let that guy walk out of the building. Let him be head coach. Otherwise, though, that's kind of where I'm at with the Ron thing. I want to see the culture shift. I agree with you. I think if it's generally a losing season, I would say like 6 wins or less.
Oh, he's gone.
He's got to be gone. I think 7 wins, it would even be hard to keep him around. I think if we're in that 8 and 9, 9 and 8, maybe some guys get hurt. Maybe we get an unfortunate bounce. It's just so many ways a football season can go. It's hard for me to put a win number on it. But that's generally where I'm at with our guy Ron.
Yeah,
Rivera.
it's a tricky situation with Ron, right? Because when you look at, you know, the situation that he had with COVID and cancer and then all the off the field drama with the ownership, and he's always kept this team in it. That's why I don't buy the people that are saying 6.5 wins is the over under. I mean, this guy has always kept this team competitive from day one. And you look at the roster building that's been done, and I think we'd all agree the roster is in much better shape with Ron in charge than it was before. Yes, one pivotal position still got a big question mark on it in quarterback, and you'd like to see the O-line a little bit better. But generally, the number of weapons we have and how that defense is rounded out. And, people say, well, our best players were before Ron, but he's re-signed them, right? He's re-signed John Allen. He's re-signed McLaurin. So I'm giving him credit for both of those players and Deron Payne.
Development is worth something too, right? And you guys put these guys in
these
positions
guys
to
in the
succeed.
building because they want to keep playing for you. That says something.
Yeah.
Not that I'm, the biggest Ron fan in the world, but I think that, I think he's got to have a winning season. I think playoffs would be great. I think, you look at the reverse situation. If he puts this team into playoffs, how do you not bring him back?
Yeah. You can't. You have to keep
Right.
it going.
Yeah.
Barring some kind of like Mike McCarthy-esque
Right.
blow up in the playoffs or
Right.
something like that.
But son, I know we're a little off key here a little bit, but I mean, it is an in-person pod.
It's a Go Juice pod.
We got to have a little salud.
Yes, sir. Salud. Salud. So, the next topic, it's pretty obvious here. We can't talk about training camp. I almost said it right there. Can't talk about training camp without talking about the boy Sam Howell. This is, at the end of the day, talk all we want about Ron Rivera, Eric Bieniemy, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, whatever.
Go Juice
Sam
get to you
Howell,
a little bit there, son?
A little bit of previous, the ghosts of Go Juice past for sure. Getting to work there. We talk all you want about all that, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Sam Howell and what Sam Howell can do. So the hype is starting to build.
Hype is building.
Hype was tamed a little bit on Saturday. Not the best day on Saturday, but it's essentially a rookie quarterback we're looking at here. So, Pot, quick Sam Howell thoughts, and then hit me with your hype meter.
Generally, I think it's trending positive with Sam Howell. It seems like it's been a really good offseason. And I think, reading between the lines on the reporters, right, the guys with the boots on the ground, and it seemed like the last couple of years, if you look at Fitz, look at Carson Wentz, there was a lot of
the water slide demon.
There was a lot of cautionary statements being made about how those guys looked, right? And and they would say things. I mean, I could hear John Keim talking about it as a great job reporting on the Commanders. Well, it's early, with Wentz. It's still early. He's still figuring it out. You should expect some of this, Russ. We haven't really heard that. We've heard the opposite about Sam Howell from the guys that have boots on the ground, right?
Yep, a lot of positivity.
We've heard about the arm strength. We've heard about, the accuracy. And those are two pretty important things with the quarterback. And we haven't really heard about the fact they're going to run an offense pretty similar to what he ran in college, incorporating a lot of RPOs with Eric Bieniemy likes to do. So I think it's all positive, trending very positively for Sam Howell. I really do.
I love it. Yeah, I agree. I think the hype is building. I told myself I was going to put a cap on the hype, no more hype than 7. And I think I've right about hit that maximum for me on that hype. I think we got to hit that 7 for me.
I'm a 7
are you 7 as well? There you go. See, we're in full.
I mean, I'd comment
in full agreement here.
I'd comment on something though that that said earlier, I said I wasn't going to do it to myself. I said I wasn't going to do it to myself in terms of these young quarterbacks, right? RG3, Dwayne Haskins. I fell in love. I was all in with these guys, in a football sense. And I'm doing it again, son. I'm doing it
Yeah,
again. I'm falling for Sammy Howe.
I'm starting to feel it as well too, for
I'm
sure.
trying to hold
I'm
myself back.
I'm definitely starting to feel it. So I think it's pretty much it on Sam Howell. I agree with you in general. I feel pretty good, pretty good on Sam as a whole. I'm excited to see where this thing goes. For me, training camp, it's exciting, but I try not to get myself too hype about training camp because you know what really matters with Sam Howell? He's gonna have a game where he throws 3 picks in the first half. He's
Right.
gonna have a game where he gets a sack fumble on a drive that was going really well and it totally kills it. He's gonna make these mistakes. He's a young guy. But what does the game after that look like? What does the
True.
second half look like? Can he struggle all game? Can he be 180 yards and 10 for 18 and then lead us on a game-winning
But
drive?
again, it's early, but wouldn't you say the signs are positive with that? I mean, he threw
100%.
that pick against Dallas. He seems to shake it off in practice from everything that we've heard. So I think he's got that resiliency in him. And, I think he's got a skill set that we can be very excited about.
100%. Yeah, gotta agree with
But
you
you're
on
right.
that.
It's gotta translate to games and on the field.
Yeah, but generally, I think a positive on Sam Howell for sure. I think I was at like a 5 or a 6 last time. Definitely bumping that up to a 7. Seeing him make some throws that we've talked about it off mic. I actually don't think we even talked about this on the last pod, but he's making throws that we haven't had guys capable of making those throws on this team in a long time. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. Even just some of the highlight throws and stuff like
Agreed.
that. He's got a way of placing the ball. He looks very accurate. A lot of guys getting upfield, a lot of rack. So all in all, exciting.
That O-line's a concern.
Definitely, yeah, definitely worried about the O line. But let's wrap up with I think we got 3 quick training camp takes.
3 standouts from training
3
camp.
standouts so far. So number 1, De'Ami Brown.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely a little bit of a surprise there. This is a guy that I was ready to cut this time last year. I was ready to move on from him. Just hadn't seen anything I was excited about. And it's a good thing I'm not in charge of the team. Because you know what? He's blossoming this year, apparently. People are getting very excited about De'Ami Brown in that maybe wide receiver 4 role, maybe that wide receiver 3 role, competing with Curtis Samuel a little bit.
Some say he's looked like the best receiver in camp, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, the connection with him and Sam, that chemistry is definitely starting to show, and I think that's pretty cool and exciting.
It is.
Um,
I got to see it. I got to see it during the season. I mean,
For
maybe
sure.
that's an obvious statement, but yeah, I do think he's secure in his roster spot.
I mean, he's known to be a great deep threat, and Sam Howell, the one thing that no matter who wants to knock Sam Howell, the one thing that nobody can take away from him is he throws a great deep ball.
Well,
So
the problem with Diami is just that it's been the one thing, right?
yeah,
The deep ball, but he's short-arming it a bit when he's got a little bit of a contested catch. Seems to be wanting to avoid that contact. Sometimes that's a tough thing to teach.
definitely.
So we got to
definitely.
see him do better there.
So we got De'Ami Brown on one side, and then on the other side, talking contact, we got Emmanuel Forbes, just looking like a unit. Out
Yeah.
there. Looking like a total beast. Looking
Running
up to
with
the
the
hype.
starters.
Running with the starters. I think you're going to see that guy come right out, play on the outside, take on the number 1 receivers on the other team. I think he's going to run straight into that number 1 cornerback role. They want that guy to force turnovers, and so you're going to stick him on the best guy, force him to throw at him, and hopefully we get some turnovers out of Emmanuel Forbes. Obviously has some picks, some exciting stuff in camp we've seen so far, which is always tough because an Emmanuel Forbes pick also means a Sam Howell pick.
Yeah,
So it's a
true.
little bit of a
I've noticed when on the website they have some great videos of camp, and I eat all that stuff up. I'm sure
same,
you
yeah,
do
same.
too. But whenever there's a pick, they never show the quarterback actually throwing the ball.
That's that Josh Harris ownership, baby. They're not. We can't throw the guy under the bus.
I
love
saw it
I
on
love
Twitter. Somebody said, "I want to see the Forbes' pick," and they showed it, but they didn't show Sam throwing the ball.
Might have been Colt McCoy back there. We don't know. We don't know.
Unconfirmed.
Definitely not Colt McCoy. Jay Gruden has not been in town anytime recently. But the third thing for camp is Brian Robinson. There have been nothing but positive reports coming about Brian Robinson, and even a little bit of pass catching action.
Yeah.
A little bit of pass catching action from Brian Robinson, which we touched on. I don't want to go super in depth, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. I think
Are you a believer in Brian
I don't-
Robinson,
look,
the pass catcher?
I don't think the kid's going to be Alvin Kamara. That's just not his talent set. But I think him being able to catch passes and keep the defense honest, and maybe just have 2, 3
And
catches a
you had
game.
some great points. I want to make sure you get this in about how he's feeling as opposed to last year.
100%. So obviously, this time last year, the tragedy had struck with the gunshot. Got hurt, had to deal with that, kind of shake that off for a while. And that was impacting him so bad throughout the whole year. He has said, like, he's been quoted saying, like, I was basically just limping around all year last year. Never felt like myself.
That's
Never
right.
even felt
It's got to be tough.
close to 100%. But when you're in the position like he was a third rounder. You don't have that luxury of waiting it out for a year. You don't have that, especially with a talented back like Antonio Gibson. If they're ready to give you snaps, you better get out there and play through it. So if what we got out of him last year was him playing through when he felt like he was limping around, he finally feels like he's in shape. He feels good. Super, super, super exciting stuff. I think he could be in for a big year. What do you think,
I
Pop?
love the kid, right? I mean, in terms of his courage and his character and you just everything you hear about him. But I do have concerns, right? I think that in terms of we just and it's not you could argue that last year there was something missing. I'm sure there was because of the unfortunate incident and injury. But he isn't known as that guy that's got that special talent or that special burst. And I think of him being a weapon out of the backfield, I'm not convinced. I still think that he's more of that short yardage, a power back, which I think he could be very effective and maybe even more effective. Now, if he can give you a little bit of that threat out of the backfield, fine. But I really think if we look at fast forward to the end of the year and we think who's going to have the bigger impact on this team, I'm still going with AG, Antonio Gibson. I think he could have a really special year, and I think he could end up being the feature back in this offense. I just think he fits what they want to do so well.
I'm really looking at Kansas City's offense last year when we're talking about what the running backs are going to do because I think we have such a clear setup, so similar to them. You had Isaiah Pacheco come on late last year as a really powerful, really hard runner.
But he was a bit more dynamic as well.
A little bit of a speedier guy, but a power runner. He's a between the tackles guy. He's fast, but they call him Pop.
Would you call Brian Robinson fast?
I don't know if I call Brian Robinson fast, but we haven't seen Brian Robinson at full speed.
That's true.
So I'm going to go with he's going to have that Isaiah Pacheco role in between the tackles, maybe 15 carries, 80, 90 yards a game, maybe some goal line work. And then AG is going to be able to spread the field out of that backfield, do the pass catching work. Every once in a while he gets a handoff because I think Brian Robinson, underrated as a pass catcher, Antonio Gibson, underrated as a power runner. So I think the two of them, we're going to be able to keep defenses on their toes. And I think that's going to be great. It's going to be a little bit like, stick with me here, a little bit like when RG3, his rookie year, when he got hurt and Kirk came in and then we scored a touchdown off a quarterback draw. He wasn't a runner per se, but we had that in the playbook and we could keep the defense honest because they weren't expecting that. I think it's going to be a little bit of that when it comes to these two guys. I know it's a little out of left field, but I think that's where we're at.
So who do you think has the bigger impact at the end of the year? I already gave my vote.
Ask the people that one more time.
Who do you think has the bigger impact at the end of the year?
Got to go B-Rob.
I mean, it's a great problem to have, right?
Got to go
You got
B-Rob
two
for
guys
me.
to choose from.
I think B-Rob's going to get the opportunity. I think B-Rob's going to have the bigger
Rodriguez
impact.
might have a little spark here and there as well. Let's
We'll
not
have to
forget
see.
him.
We'll have to see about our boy Rodriguez. We'll
All
have
right.
to see. So let's do this, Pop. A little bit of NFL
Buy
or sell action.
One of our more popular segments.
One of our more popular segments. So guys, hit that comment section. Let us know as we're going
And
through
gals.
us. Play along with us, and gals, of course. Play along with us. Statistically speaking, mostly guys. We see the analytics.
That's it.
But gals, more than welcome. More than welcome. We have
That's
a
right.
very inclusive platform, but just if we're
Everybody's
talking
welcome.
analytics-wise here. We're an analytics-based program since Josh Harris took over. So, NFL buy or sell. We're going to do 5 topics as usual. We're going to try and kind of go through them, some faster than others. But let us know in the comments, are you buying or are you selling? Remember,
5 topics.
not all buys and
Round
sells
the
are
league.
created equal. Some things are on sale. Some things you got to buy at a premium. Some things are hard to get. You got to buy them even if they're a little more expensive. So just remember, juice up, Pop.
Go juice.
Juice up, juice up. So not all things are created equal. So just because I sell one thing doesn't mean I'm going to buy another thing. So let's get that straight for all you Cowboys fans out there mad about the fact that I'm selling on Dak Prescott. So we'll get to that later. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Are you buying or selling all the hype? It's crazy. People are talking Super Bowl contender. People are talking best team in the NFL.
Vibes are
Where
high.
are you
Talk
at?
about vibes being high.
Vibes are
on
high
the
at the
Jets.
Meadowlands.
I'm buying on the Jets, and I'm buying in
too.
the sense that I think, Aaron Rodgers does seem to be really refocused. He's taken pay cuts. He hasn't missed a practice, OTAs, all the preseason, which is, atypical of him. I know that he's done some questionable things in the past. Wonder if his head's totally into football. But I think I'm buying on the Jets, and I think that's a very talented roster. Sauce Gardner, we
Dog.
named an award after him.
Dog.
So I'm buying on the Jets.
Yeah, I got to buy as well. And for me, it's primarily, I know I've been hesitant about Rodgers, and I still am hesitant about Rodgers. But when you look at the rest of that roster and you look at Robert Saleh as a
Maybe
head
you
coach,
sold on him before.
I've sold on Rodgers before. I have. But when you look at the rest of that roster, you look at a guy like Garrett Wilson. You look at a guy like Breece Hall, if he can get healthy. You look at a guy like Sauce Gardner. You look at Michael Carter in the secondary back there. You look at their interior defensive line. Maybe the only interior defensive line better than ours. That I'll accept that answer.
No.
They are disgusting, man. That is a really, really, really good football team. So, if Aaron Rodgers can just be decent, can be Tom Brady in Tampa, he doesn't have to be in his prime. He just needs to be Tom Brady in Tampa. If he can play like that, you got a Super Bowl contender.
I think
he's
better than Tom Brady in Tampa.
You have to. Tom Brady in Tampa at the beginning was pretty good. He was flinging that thing
He was
around.
really good, but I think the talent level that Aaron Rodgers is playing at right now, I still believe. I think it was an off year last year, but there were a lot of circumstances related to that.
All right.
Lacking talent and weapons, not matching with the organization very well. I think he's going to have a great year.
We'll see. If his head's in it, he's going to ball. I'm just worried about the head. So speaking about is your head in it, speaking about the mental, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
Speaking of hot takes.
Oh, my God. Sean Payton has just been hilarious on social media. I mean, you find some clips of him kind of, opening his head up a little bit, maybe if you find the right corner of Twitter. Some funny stuff going around there. Boy likes to party. But also,
speaking of the Jets,
speaking crazy about Nathaniel Hackett, who is now the offensive coordinator for the Jets, obviously a close friend of Aaron Rodgers. One of the things
called it the worst coaching he's ever seen.
Yeah, he literally said he had to throw the tape out. He couldn't judge Greg Dulcich and his performance because it was just such a mess.
So are you buying Russell Wilson and Sean Payton?
Oh no, I'm selling both of them. Selling both of them. I think Sean Payton's a great coach. I think this is not. I think this is an overrated situation.
Great coach?
I think he's a very good coach. I don't know, great. Very good.
Did he fall into the right situation with a really great Hall of Fame quarterback in New Orleans?
He might have.
And some really talented weapons.
He might have. They had a seriously talented team back in the day. I have a hard time disagreeing with that.
He's talking too much. I was sour on Sean Payton when he talked about, potential Commanders ownership had reached out to him. And, when Ron Rivera is the coach, that's just don't do that.
Yeah.
And then he's talking trash about the previous coach in Denver. You know what? Let's see you coach some games first, Sean. Let's see you coach some games first.
There you go. And, selling on Russell Wilson, of course. Selling on that Denver roster in general. I mean, Pat Surtain, fantastic football player. They just got Chris Jones, great defensive tackle. In general, though, I think that is a very overrated roster in Denver.
Yeah,
people talk about how good they are.
Well.
I think it's very overrated, which, I mean, it's crazy what a summer can do. Because this time last year, I was ready to call them a dark horse for a Super Bowl pick. But I really just think overall that team is not as good as people think it is. Definitely got to sell on Russell Wilson.
Who sold on Russ last offseason, by the way?
You did. Props. Dak and Mike McCarthy calling plays in Dallas. You want to count this one down? Sell.
3, 2, 1.
Sell. Buying on the boy Deuce Vaughn, though. Got to buy on the short king, Deuce Vaughn. Love that guy. Was humbled, honestly, when that clip was going around, because I genuinely did think it was somebody.
Explain it. Who is this kid? Because I never heard of him before.
Deuce Vaughn, 5'5", 5'6" with cleats on, just like myself. Running back. He's probably going to be their second running back there in Dallas, depending on the Zeke situation, how that fleshes out. But right now, he's on pace to be the second running back. Real shifty little guy out of Kansas State.
Is he a $130 like you?
No, he's a little more solidly built. Man, I might be a $128 the way we've been sweating doing this podcast
this is
right
training
now.
with camp vibes.
Oh my God, it is gritty. This is just seriously gritty work.
Especially
here. A
with
lot of adversity.
The unannounced dress rehearsal pod.
A lot of adversity. But this is what builds great organizations as well. So yeah, but definitely got to sell on Dak, Mike McCarthy. Buying on Deuce Vaughn. He's going to be the next Darren Sproles. Hope it's not out there. But as I was saying,
Short Kings Unite.
I was a little bit humbled because when they put that clip out of Deuce running out of the backfield, they said, so nice of the Cowboys to let my son get a few reps in, which was hilarious. and I genuinely thought it was somebody's son. And
It's gonna make the roster.
Then I realized definitely gonna make the roster. Definitely gonna make the roster. Then I realized not only is that not somebody's son, that's Deuce Vaughn. And then I realized not only is that Deuce Vaughn, but that's what I would look like out there, but like slower.
All right, your love of a cowboy bothers me. Let's
So
move
it was
on.
tough, but I gotta support the short king out there. I was actually Googled who drafted him after the draft, and I was so bummed to find out it was Dallas. But gotta support the boy Deuce Vaughn. Number 4, Chiefs repeat. I'm gonna sell.
I'm buying on the Chiefs.
You think they repeat the Super Bowl?
Yes,
I gotta sell just because
I'm always buying on the Chiefs.
I respect it, and I think that's a great buy. If you said Chiefs contend, Chiefs Super Bowl favorites,
I did say Chiefs repeat because I had to have that bar high for them.
I just think it's so hard to repeat
It
a
is
Super
tough.
Bowl. AFC's really good.
Where do you think they're gonna land though? It's gonna be a crash and burn. They're gonna
No, not at
come
all.
back to earth.
Not at all.
Where do you have them?
Not at all. I'm not on the Will Compton Chiefs collapse train quite yet, but I am siding up with them in here that I don't think they win the Super Bowl. I think the AFC is only getting better, and I think that
Who's gonna take them out?
you could be looking at Buffalo, you could be looking at the
Buffalo.
Jets, you could be looking at they just got this guy named Josh Allen. He's
I
just
feel
okay.
even more confident.
He's just
now.
okay.
You've run through.
You
these
could be looking
teams.
at the Jets. You could be looking at
Cincinnati on one leg.
Cincinnati. Burrow will be fine by the time they have to play.
the Ravens?
You could be looking at the Ravens. That was going to be on my list.
Yeah.
Miami as well, potentially, if Tua takes that next step forward, can stay healthy. Good team down
Always
there.
buying on the Chiefs.
A lot of action in the AFC. So
Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid. Come on. What else you want?
Jacksonville Jaguars, too.
Future NFC Championship former offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I like that. Maybe that's why I'm selling on the Chiefs. The boy Eric Bieniemy, he's with us now.
That's true.
You know, they took a big shot. They lost their best asset out
That's
there.
true.
Number 5, Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, and the Rams. Now, we went over this in the dress rehearsal, so I won't ask you the question. I'll just tell the people. You're saying the Rams are going to be back to a team that you're afraid of when you see them come up on your schedule.
I'm saying the Rams are going to be back to being the Rams.
The
Right?
Rams being back to being the Rams, which they were for all of 2 years. But
And the top 6 of the NFC. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
A solid playoff team, a team that's that
you said
is
maybe division winner.
contending for the division. I think they're back to being the Rams. They're going to bounce back. They're going to have a bounce back season. I'm not saying they're going to be back in the Super Bowl.
Sell for the
Times have
kid.
changed.
Love Sean.
You have never said that about Sean McVay.
Love
before.
Sean McVay.
You had Sean McVay in the Hall of Fame a year ago.
Love Sean McVay. All the respect in the world to Matt Stafford. I think he's old. I don't think he comes back from these
How
injuries.
old is he?
He's always struggled. Might be 97, 98. I got to check. I got to check on that situation. But he's always struggled with injuries his whole career. And you see them starting to compound. And now he's older and it's concussions. And that just makes me nervous. And I just don't think that roster
I think
in general,
last year was much more of an outlier than the Super Bowl year. Not that I think they're Super Bowl
I think the other way
contenders.
around. I think the roster in general is not that good.
That team was hot.
A lot of that team's not there anymore.
All right.
I don't believe in the
I'm
roster
buying.
the way you do. I'm selling for sure. That division, I think they finished 3rd. I think they finished
We'll
behind
see. Remember when we
Seattle.
talked about the Seahawks last year? Similar kind of discussion. What happened?
Might be right. Might be
What
right.
happened?
Might
They were
be
going to be
right.
the worst team in the league, according to one of these podcasters.
Might be right. But I got the Seahawks finishing ahead of the
All right.
Rams next year.
Bet. I say Rams make the playoffs.
I said
$5.
let's do Seahawks finish ahead of Rams.
No. I said Rams make the playoffs.
The NFC
That's the
sucks.
bet.
All 3 of them might make the playoffs.
Oh, you're backpedaling a little bit here now.
I'm saying you want to
so
talk
you don't
about.
want to take the bet.
I could see them going 9-8.
So you don't want to take the bet.
But we're not. We're talking about 2 different things here. You're
Are the
talking
Rams
about.
going to make the playoffs?
See,
It's simple.
It's crazy the
It's
way he
simple.
moves. You see the goalpost just shifted because in the dress rehearsal he's talking about they're going to win a playoff game, they're going to win the division, and now it's they make the playoffs.
The bet is a separate situation than the buy or sell. Are you willing to place that bet?
No, I think
Then
they
you're
could
buying.
make the playoffs. I think they could make the
Then you're
playoffs at
buying.
9-8. I'm still selling them being this I think they could.
9-8's a bounce back season after the way they crashed last year.
I think they could stumble their way into the playoffs and get smoked in the first round. I think that's best case
Son, I
scenario
gotta
for
question
them.
you on this one.
I think it's best case scenario. I could be
All
wrong.
right.
I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments, guys. Let us know if you're not feeling it, if you want to buy or sell. any of these things, please let us know. If you got a timer and you know how long it's been before we started talking about football, let us know. You want to time how long I talked about Deuce Vaughn for, let us know. Anything is appreciated, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and
We
subscribe.
appreciate all the comments, good or bad. Keep
Appreciate
'em
all of it.
coming.
We appreciate it so much. We recorded
Loving
two
it.
podcasts for you guys
That's
today.
right.
That's how much we
The
appreciate it.
greatest podcast that'll never be seen.
Yes, sir. I think we smoked it on the second
Yeah.
time, though. I think
All right, one more
we topped
salute.
it. So one more
End this
salute,
thing.
and let's call it.
Always
Let's
great to
call
be
it.
with you live and in person, son.
Yes, sir, Pop. Always
Salute.
appreciated. Salud. Guys, thank you for watching.
End it right, son.
Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks so much.